It's a product overview video for the new Legacy F3 AA and also the F7 AA sets. In the F3 models, we have Burlington Route or Burlington, Rio Grande, Western Pacific. In the F7 AA models, we have Western Maryland, Louisville and Nashville, Wabash, and Milwaukee Road. Each road name features the powered A and non-powered A as an AA set. There is an optional separate sale powered B unit, as well as an optional separate sale non-powered B unit. Out of the box, you will receive the powered and non-powered A unit, 2 flags for each A unit, 2 American flags that go in the post just above the side cab windows, the instruction manual for loading the memory module, the owner's manual. Each A unit features a smoke fluid pipette and a smoke funnel. There is a single memory module for the AA set, 4 replacement traction tires for the powered A. Each locomotive features a die-cast pilot, fuel tank, side frames, truck, stamped metal frame, highly detailed plastic body with a fan-driven smoke unit, legacy control, which includes Odyssey 2 speed control, and legacy rail sounds is in the powered A. The non-powered A has all the same features, less the rail sounds. These engines feature illuminated number boards, unidirectional marker lamps, directional headlights, and operating Mars lamps based upon the direction you're heading. Each road name is available with a separate sale powered and non-powered B unit. In the powered B unit box, you will get the B unit itself, the manual for the B unit, smoke fluid pipette, a smoke fluid funnel, and 4 replacement traction tires. The powered B units, along with the non-powered B units, do not include engine memory modules. These powered units feature die-cast fuel tank, side frames, trucks, stamped metal frame, legacy control, and a fan-driven smoke unit. The engines feature dual vertical can motors and an operating coil coupler on the rear of the B unit, along with a rear directional lamp. The non-powered B units are effectively locomotive box cars. They do not feature any electronics or smoke or electrocouplers. Manual fixed couplers only. To access the switches on our F3 powered A unit, we simply remove the hatch on the roof towards the back of the locomotive. Inside the shell of our powered F3 A unit, we have 3 switches: program run, Odyssey on off, and smoke on off. When in the program position, that is where you assign the ID number of the locomotive if you're using it with Legacy or TMCC1. Put it in program, assign the ID number, place it back in run to operate the locomotive. If you're operating in a conventional environment, program is used as the directional lockout switch. So if you want the engine to run in one direction all the time, the program position is the E unit lockout. The next switch we have is our Odyssey 2 on-off. In the ODY position, Odyssey 2 speed control is enabled. In the no ODY position, Odyssey 2 speed control is disabled. You will notice a drastic change in the performance of the locomotive whether the Odyssey control is on or off. In the no Odyssey position, it's not unlikely to have to turn the red thumb wheel on the remote several times to get the locomotive moving. In the ODY position, The Odyssey 2 speed control is enabled, and the engine will maintain a constant speed regardless of track conditions or load. Finally, we have the smoke on-off switch. SMK is the smoke on position, and no SMK is smoke off. In the no SMK position, you cannot turn the smoke unit on and off from the remote. That is the master override. So if you want the ability to turn the smoke unit on and off from the remote, you need to make sure the switch is in the SMK position. We have our master volume control here, manual volume control, which you can increase and decrease. You cannot override this volume, adjusting the volume from the remote. This is the master volume. For conventional operators, this is how you would control the sound intensity or the volume of the sound system itself. And finally, inside our engine, we have our 9-volt battery harness. It is not necessary in a legacy environment or a command environment to install the battery. All that battery does is it keeps the sounds alive in the event that the collectors come off the center rail, or in a conventional environment through directional changes where you drop the power out, the 9-volt battery will keep the sound system alive. You must use an alkaline battery in this. What I mean is that the engine does not recharge the battery, it will consume it. Once it's consumed, that battery must be exchanged for a new battery with a full charge. To place the hatch back on the locomotive, it simply uses magnets to hold it in place. The correct position is to have the roof vents facing or being closest to the end of the cab. On our non-powered A unit, we access the switches the same way, remove the cover on the roof. The non-powered A unit only has 2 switches inside: program run and smoke on off. In the program position, that's where you place the switch to assign an ID number to the locomotive, put it back in run to operate it. Since this is not a powered unit, it does not matter whether the switch is in program or run. For conventional operators, if you want to lock the powered unit in one direction, you use the program switch in a conventional mode. The dummy unit, however, should remain in the run position. Finally, the smoke no smoke switch. In the SMK position, the smoke unit is on. In the no SMK position, the smoke unit is off. If the switch is in the no SMK position, you cannot override it using a legacy or cab 1 remote. For the powered F3B units that are available for these AA sets, you must also assign an ID number to them. The switches for these locomotives are underneath the hatch on the rear of the locomotive. Hatch is held on with magnets. There are a total of 3 switches in the powered B units. These switches are program run, Odyssey 2 speed control on off, and smoke on off. On the program run switch, the program position is used for assigning the ID number to the locomotive using a legacy or cab 1 remote. The run position is the position you place the switch in to operate the locomotive. If you're operating in a conventional environment, the program position acts as your E-unit lockout switch to make the engine run in one direction at all times. The Odyssey 2 on-off switch, in the ODY position, Odyssey 2 speed control is enabled. In the no ODY position, Odyssey 2 speed control is disabled. If you have the switch in the no ODY position, you will notice that it takes much longer, many more turns of the red wheel on the remote to get the locomotive moving than when Odyssey is enabled. And finally, the last switch is the smoke on-off switch. In the SMK position, smoke is on. In the no SMK position, smoke is off. If it's in the no SMK position, you will not be able to override the smoke operation using your legacy or cab 1 remote. Now, before we get our F3 on the track, we want to make sure that we apply just a little bit of oil, light oil, on the axles where they go through the bearings. This can be done using a oil with a needle applicator. We just want to put a light drop of oil on each axle where it goes through the bearing in the truck. We want to do this for all 4 axles on each side. We definitely don't want to apply any type of lubricant or grease to the gear train that's exposed on the truck. If we do that, that'll actually encourage the locomotive to pick up debris, get it caught up in the gears, and cause problems that we really don't want. You also want to put a small drop of oil on the axle for each collector. That'll help us get rid of any unwanted noise or squeals that would come from the collectors otherwise. Once you get that on there, just work that in with your thumb or your finger. You want to make sure that you do that for both the powered A and the dummy A. You want to do it to both trucks. Really, all the moving wheels and axles on the locomotive are what you want to lubricate. So you want to get the oil on the axle where it goes through the bearing, and also on the collector where it rotates around the axle. Before we get our locomotive on the track, we need to first tell our legacy remote exactly what the locomotive that we're going to run is. So using our numbering convention of the last 2 digits of the road number, we're going to address the F3s as engine 62. So on our legacy remote, we're going to press engine 62. We're going to take our orange memory module that's specific to our F3, and we're going to load it in the top of our remote with the silver circle L facing up. Now we press the info key. We press the button under load. It tells us the module is inserted. It's a Burlington 38598 F3 PA number 9962. Load engine data. We press yes. It tells us the engine data is loaded and we need to remove the module to continue. So we'll unplug the module from the remote. Make sure you store that in a safe location. I want to show you what this did for us. We've already assigned the name by loading the module. We're going to press the scroll button 1 time. You can see that it has set our type to diesel. Pressing scroll again, it set our control mode to legacy. And pressing scroll again, it has set up our sounds for legacy rail sounds. To exit this engine menu, we press info 1 time. The road number appears momentarily on the screen, and scrolling across the top, it says Burlington F3 PA. The PA is for passenger scheme. I'd like to take a moment and show you what this has done for our touchpad. So now anytime we press engine 62, our road number appears momentarily. As soon as we press the aux 1 key, our keypad becomes, our touchpad rather, is specific with the icons. We have volume up, crew talk, RPMs up, volume down, emergency shutdown when the locomotive is moving. Whenever we turn the throttle, that turns into a black triangle for emergency stop. When the locomotive is at a standstill or not moving, that icon turns into a black circle, which means shutdown. RPMs down, tower comm, smoke off, smoke on. Because it's a legacy locomotive, it has 3 levels of smoke. On the left hand side we have the Mars light off and the Mars light on. Engine reset, Rule 17 lighting on and Rule 17 lighting off. If we press the speed bar 1 time, we have our 6 preset railroad speeds, tower comm, smoke off, smoke on, the bar graph, which is directly proportionate to the amount of labor off of these 2 icons. By pressing the up arrow, you'll notice it says labor increase across the top, and the bar graph grows. By pressing effects down, it says labor decrease, and our bar graph lowers. And finally, this number 1 icon is the very first speed step the engine will attain, and that's called roll speed. Odyssey 2 speed control must be enabled to attain roll speed. To get back to the original touchpad icon, simply press aux 1 and we can see all the original icons again. Now that we've told our legacy remote everything about this locomotive by loading the memory module into the remote, we need to now program the locomotives. Since the cab number is 9962, we're going to use our numbering convention of the last 2 digits of the cab number as the engine ID number. So remove the access hatches on the roof of both locomotives and place the program run switch on the powered unit and also on the non-powered unit into the program position. Apply track power. You'll notice that when we apply track power that only the number boards are illuminated on the powered A, and while you can't see it, the number boards only on the non-powered A are illuminated. So using our legacy remote, we're going to press engine 6.2 and the set button. The horn confirms that it took the command. Now we can place these switches back in the run position. It's important to note that on the AA set, you can program both the non-powered and the powered A unit the same ID number and operate the two units as the same ID. The directional lighting and the coil couplers will function properly. If you use a separate sail powered B unit with the AA combination, you will need to program each engine a different number. For instance, in the AA config, it can be engine 62 for both engines. In a lash-up configuration, it would be engine 62, the powered B unit would get its own number, and the non-powered A unit would get yet a different number. Once you assign all three engines a unique ID and build it into a train, the lights on the non-powered A unit will work properly, whereas the rear light does not come on in reverse, nor does the powered A unit rear light come on in reverse. The lighting will be appropriate to direction, the marker lamps will work appropriately, etc. That's only required if you're running a lash-up with the separate sail powered B unit. If you're only running the AA, you can assign them both the same ID number and they'll work fine. The next thing we need to do before we get the engines running is add some smoke fluid. Using the Lionel Premium smoke fluid and the pipette that came with our locomotive, we want to take and put about the fluid in our pipette about 3/4 of the way from the tip to the very first mark on the pipette. Put that inside our smoke unit hole on the top of the locomotive. A couple puffs of air to break any fluid meniscus. We want to do the same thing for the non-powered A unit. If you have a needle applicator on your smoke fluid bottle, as we have recommended in the past for customer service, we recommend that you use that to apply smoke fluid to both of these units. Because the stack is so tight, it's very, very difficult to get this funnel in place through that hole and into the funnel. Whereas if you've got a needle applicator, it goes in a lot smoother, less likelihood of spilling smoke fluid around the inside of the locomotive. Now that we've got the smoke fluid added, we can go ahead and get our locomotive running. So we'll apply track power. Once again, only the number boards on the powered A and the non-powered A come on at power up. So I'm going to press engine 62, and I'm going to press and hold the startup icon on the touchpad, which is in the lower left-hand corner, and we get this dialog.
Dispatcher here. Do you copy? Over.
Roger that.
Please start up and stand by for track orders.
Copy that, dispatcher. We'll get up and running. Out.
I'm going to turn the volume down slightly so that I don't have to shout over top of it. Turn the smoke unit on. Now both A units are equipped with the smoke unit. The non-powered A unit is not set up on rollers because it has to move in order for the volume of the smoke out of the stack to change. The powered A unit is on rollers, it has motors, it will run. So there's our smoke output. Go ahead and blow the horn for you. Crew talk.
Dispatcher, waiting on a clear track. Can I roll? Over.
Negative. Hold your position. Over.
Tower comm.
Understood. Standing by. Out.
Dispatcher here. You're cleared onto the main. Over.
Thank you. We've got the green light. Out.
Go ahead and get the engine running. When the engine starts moving, you'll notice that the cab light on the powered A unit will go out. That's standard on all legacy diesels. The volume of smoke also increases when the locomotive begins moving. As I said earlier, if the non-powered A unit isn't rolling, you don't see an increase in that smoke coming out of the stack. As long as the wheels are turning, it'll increase smoke. If the wheels stop turning, the smoke volume decreases. And since we don't have a way to get that moving on rollers, we'll leave it sit there at idle. The Mars light on the nose of the locomotive is only on when the locomotive is in motion, and it is directionally sensitive, meaning if the powered A unit is moving in reverse, then the Mars light on the non-powered A unit comes on in that direction. The bottom lamp is the headlight, and that's also directional. What you can't see now is that the red marker lamps on the rear of the non-powered A unit are on. I'm going to press the direction button. The marker lamps on our powered unit are on. Our headlight and Mars light are off. And the headlight and Mars light here in the back of the non-powered A unit are on. Same thing on the non-powered A unit. When the engine begins moving, the cab light goes off, the smoke volume increases, the Mars light is on. Go ahead and press direction again. These locomotives are equipped with electrocouplers. Pressing the F coupler button gets the front coupler open, and the R coupler button gets the coil coupler on the face of the rear non-powered unit open. On your touchpad you also have Rule 17. Rule 17 lighting on and Rule 17 lighting off. All that means is that the headlight will dim down when the engine is at a stationary position and will get brighter when the engine begins moving. You can choose to turn Rule 17 lighting off, and the intensity of the headlight will remain the same regardless of whether the engine is moving or not. I'd like to go ahead and run through some of the RPM sounds so you can hear that. The engine at notch 8. I'm going to go ahead and bring that down. And there we are at idle. These legacy equipped diesels are equipped with two volume controls. One that controls the volume of the background sounds, which is independent of the horn and bell, and the other volume control which controls the global sounds, which will lower both horn and bell and background sounds. To access the global sounds, you press the engine ID number, engine 62 in this case, then the aux1 or straight arrow button, and then the volume down icon on the touchpad. That will lower the background sounds and still keep the horn at the normal volume. To raise the background sounds, we simply press the icon for volume up. To change the global sounds, which is the entire sound system, we address the engine, engine 62, press any button except aux1 or the straight arrow key. So we'll just hit the horn, and now we'll press the volume down button, which you will hear followed up with a bell. For each button press, I get the sound of a bell. That tells me I'm controlling the global sounds. Now when I blow the horn, the volume of the horn is affected, same as the background sounds. And it is possible for me to turn those sounds all the way down to the point of being off. Now I'm blowing the horn and I have no horn sound. I'm going to go ahead and start the locomotive running. The icon on my touchpad that is typically a black circle when the engine is stationary is now a black triangle. This is the emergency stop feature. I'm going to go ahead and press that and you'll hear this dialogue.
This is the dispatcher. The emergency stop. Come to a full stop.
Brakes on. Emergency wait to stop.
Now it's up to me, the operator, to slow the voltage down or the throttle down until the train stops, and I get this dialogue.
Everything's okay. Over.
Good work. Out.
Okay. These diesels are also equipped with what is known as sequence control. Sequence control allows the locomotive to play a set of pre-recorded sound sequences based upon throttle control alone. So to enter sequence mode, I simply press and hold the aux1 or the straight arrow key for 3 seconds. The two bells and the horn sound signify that I have entered sequence control. Now, whenever I turn the throttle, the sounds will play automatically. So I'm going to go to speed step 1, but the locomotive will not actually begin moving.
Dispatcher. Dispatcher, we are underway. Over.
Once the engine begins moving at speed step 2, the bell turns on automatically and will stay on until I exceed speed step 23, which we're going to do now. Any sudden changes I make to the throttle will give me a sound sequence as such. I'm going to go ahead and just crank the throttle up and you'll hear what it says. So the horn plays. We'll go ahead and turn it down.
Dispatcher, I'm at slow speed. Now.
As I slow the engine down and get beyond speed step 24, my bell turns on and will stay on until I enter the station and stop. When I stop,
Complete stop. I'll let you know when we're underway. Now.
I get that dialogue, my smoke volume diminishes, and the train is at a stop, the cab light is on. To exit sequence mode, I simply press the aux1 key and press the R button, or what would be 0 on a cab 1 remote. The horn blast tells me that I've exited sequence control, I'm back to manual control. We can add fuel to our F3s or F7s by pressing and holding the 0 icon or the R icon on our touchpad. Still holding it. Once I let off the R icon, this is the sequence I get.
Dispatcher, we've got a full tank. Over.
Roger that. Out.
And finally, we'll go through the shutdown sounds.
Go and sign a register book. Now.
Now, if you purchase the non-powered F3 or F7B unit to match the AA set, it is important to note that the non-powered units do not include a smoke unit. The powered B units do include a smoke unit. So when operated as a 3-unit diesel set, all 3 units will have fan-driven smoke. The powered B unit does come with Odyssey 2 speed control and will match the speed steps with the powered A unit smoothly with Odyssey 2 enabled. Sequence control works whether you're in a lash-up or you're operating the locomotive separately. These locomotives are at your dealer now. Many of these F3 and F7 AA sets will have matching passenger cars, which we'll do a product review when they arrive.